Welcome to the More Than Fitness podcast.
And we are live from my parents' basement. I'm in for Easter weekend, and I wanted to make sure that I got this Minisode out to you guys. So, I am in my parents' basement, and if you're watching the video, you can see all the UK memorabilia behind me, and I've got my my apparel on, repping the Cats as usual. You'll never find a shortage of blue in the McLeod household because my parents are diehard UK fans. And with all that being said, I've got an amazing Minisode for you guys, even with the change of scenery. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Minisode number 28 on the More Than Fitness podcast. And I've got a good topic today that is it's hopeful. Right? So the topic I want to talk about today is returning to normal after quarantine, to normal training after quarantine. So hopefully there is a light at the tunnel somewhere. It's going to be there. It's going to be somewhere, right? And we're going to be able to get back in the gym, grip our hands around that barbell and dumbbells once again, and things will be mostly back to normal. All things considered. Hopefully. That's the idea. However, I know that I don't know when that time is going to be. However, I want to go over a few strategies you guys can use whenever you get back, and also maybe give you a little bit of hope that things won't be, your progress won't be too far gone whenever you get back. And some of you can hit the ground running, etc., especially if you have the luxury of working out at home with dumbbells, barbells, if you have a dope setup or if you have a friend with a gym or something like that. Some of you are going to hit the ground running quicker than others. But for other degenerates and peasants like myself who just have a couple bands, some body weight, maybe a rusty pair of dumbbells, it's gonna take me some time to get back to where I was. But by using a few of these strategies, I think we will all be okay, right? And we're all going to be okay. And that's how I feel. I just keep it's going to be okay. This quarantine shit, it's going to be over with eventually. And we will be able to get swole in peace once again. So the first tip that I have is to not jump straight back into your old training plan. Your body is just not ready for that type of stimulus yet. And so you're just not going to recover quick enough. So look, here's the thing. A lot of us are going to go in the first day. It's going to feel great to be back. We're going to lift really hard, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to be super sore. That's what's going to happen. It's going to feel great. Don't get me wrong. However, if you plan on doing that every single time, it's just a stupid way to do it, to be honest. Your injury risk is going to increase, and also you're not going to be making the type of progress that you could be making if you would do things a little bit smarter, which I will get into in just a second. But yes, the first thing, don't jump straight back into your old training plan, because the volumes that you're doing now with your home workouts, if you just have a couple bands, maybe a couple dumbbells, you're using body weight, it's going to be much different whenever you have a plethora of dumbbells and barbells and machines at your disposal. The volumes and the intensity is just not going to match up. Again, like I said, your body will just not be prepared for that type of stimulus yet. And you're not at the same level, to be honest. Your body's just not adapted. It's not, it's just not prepared for that type of go again. So instead, what you have to do is you have to work your way up, which brings me to my second point, which means that you need to make progress on as little effort as possible, because you have two routes. Basically, you could go in and just gung-ho, shotgun style, just try and beat your brains out with weights. And again, like I said, 1 or 2 days of that, sure, okay. But after that, let's get a little bit smarter. Let's get back into a routine of things, because you could make progress that way. Don't get me wrong. You could go in and you could lift really hard, and your body is going to kind of soak it up. You're going to have some muscle memory, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But you're probably going to make some progress in the short term by going gung ho. Don't get me wrong. However, you have to think about it on more long term, because whenever you go gung ho and you work out super hard, well, you have to understand that where are you going to go next? You're going to have to work even harder than that to make progress, to keep seeing progress, then work harder than that, right? So you only want to set that bar and only want to work as hard as you need to in order to make progress, because that also ensures long-term progress over time. It's also going to be safer as well. Because you're not just lifting for one day. You're not going in and doing a workout and then that workout happens alone in a vacuum, right? But if you go in and you try and kill your chest on Monday, and then you go in on Wednesday and you expect to do some type of shoulders or something, well, your shoulders might still be wrecked from Monday because you're an idiot and went to failure over and over and over again, crushed your chest. Oh, you killed it, dude. Sure, but now you can't properly stimulate your shoulders or other exercises on that day, or even Tuesday because you're so fatigued from the workout on Monday, right? You have to be smart about these things. You're not just lifting for one day, you're lifting for an entire week, right? Or an entire month, or even an entire year if you want to get that specific. But that's just how you make long-term progress. And so don't think about your workouts in terms of, oh, how can I get the most effective workout today? It's like, how can you get the most effective workout today that also allows you to get the most effective workouts on subsequent days throughout the entire week, right? That's how you train smarter and not harder. Instead of just beating away at the same thing, it's like, how can I be smart about this and make it both effective and efficient? So yeah, make progress on as little effort as possible. And so I wanted to talk about how you're going to feel whenever you come back to the gym after all this is over. Some of you probably know the feeling of after a long layoff, or if you just haven't done an exercise in a while, like if you haven't done a bench squat or a deadlift or something, if you come back and then you do bench press and you haven't touched a barbell in such a long time, even lightweight you're going to feel shaky whenever you press that up, right? And you've locked it out, but your hands and your shoulder stabilizers and your elbows and everything's still going to feel kind of shaky. And that's because lifting is a skill, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to feel shaky for the first couple of days, but then as you continue to lift and things, your neural adaptations are going to be what catches up first. So you're going to feel like you're making tons of strength progress in the beginning, but the strength is already there, but your neural adaptations have to catch up first. So your brain has to catch up first. But that usually happens rather quickly. And then what happens is you haven't actually gotten a lot stronger, but you've made those neural adaptations that have allowed you to basically remember those movement patterns and that muscle memory, and it comes back that much more quickly. So it's not like you're increasing your bench by 30 pounds in 2 weeks, right? Those are just your old skills kind of coming back. So first will be the neural adaptations. You'll have the shakes, but that'll go away pretty quickly. And again, it's because lifting is a skill. You repeat these movements, just like you shoot a free throw or something like that, or swing a golf club. It's like if you the more that you swing and the more you ingrain a certain technique, the better it's going to feel, assuming that the technique is a proper technique to begin with, right? But whatever movement pattern you rep out time after time, that's what your brain's going to remember, and that's the adaptations that you're going to make. So with that being said, if you're trying to pick up these skills of lifting, if you're trying to get your strength back up in all of these lifts, right? Because again, it's a skill. You need to practice these skills. Well, doing bench press, if you're trying to get your bench press back up to where it was, doing bench press once a week, only practicing that skill once per week probably isn't the best idea, because you're not practicing that skill enough. So instead, if you bench Monday, Wednesday, Friday, instead, you're going to be able to pick up that skill much more quickly. So what I would do whenever I go back is I would choose a low volume approach. I would have moderate intensity, because you're not going to need, again, make progress on as little effort as possible. You don't need tons of volume and just to shock your system or whatever. You're going to make progress on barely doing anything whenever you're allowed to touch dumbbells and barbells again, if you've only been using bands and body weight. So I would do low volume, not crazy amount of sets and reps basically. And then I would do a moderate intensity. So work out on about a 6, 7, 8 out of 10 on the effort scale, and then do high frequency. So doing full body, so let's say you work out 3 times a week, doing full body 3 times a week would be ideal. That way you're hitting that skill of whatever lift it is that you're trying to practice every single time you get in the gym. And so your neural adaptations are going to come that much quicker. You could also do like an upper lower split if you work out like 4 times a week. Or even 5 times a week. You could do upper, lower, and then a full body day or something like that. If you do 5 days a week, but making sure that you don't go in and just try and hit like chest and triceps or something. It's just like you're not getting back to your the standard that you once were. If you're just going in and doing those body part splits again, you can get to that starting point much more quickly if you increase your frequency and hit those movements more frequent. And so yeah, that's what I would do. I would do low volume, moderate intensity, high frequency. So full body days, upper lower days, and you will reap the benefits, and those neural adaptations will come very quickly. All right, and lastly, again, because of muscle memory being a real thing, your muscles have these muscle cells have these things called myonuclei, and whenever you lift weights, basically, you end up building up these myonuclei. But whenever you lose muscle mass, the myonuclei, the quantity, the number of myonuclei stay the same. However, they get smaller, right? And so those myonuclei are still in the muscle cells, but whenever you begin to lift again, basically you still have the same number of myonuclei. However, then they become activated, right? These are all just simplistic terms. But whenever they become activated, basically you're going to be able to grow your muscle mass to where it was pre-quarantine much faster because you already have that higher number of myonuclei in your muscle cells. So you combine that muscle memory, and then you also have the more stimulus and more tension from the barbells and dumbbells, and also just the consistency of you being in the gym more, because maybe you used to work out at the gym 5 times a week and then quarantine hit and now you're only working out twice a week because you can't find the motivation. Well, just going to the gym more frequently, even if this was home workouts or at the gym or not, whatever, being more consistent and going from 2 days to 4 days, you're likely going to see some growth. So there's going to be more stimulus overall. So you have that stimulus plus the muscle memory, and then you also have that you're likely well rested as far as like joints, inflammation, tendons, everything. You're kind of like primed for muscle growth. And honestly, for some of you, this quarantine is going to be the best thing that could have happened to you on as far as like a deload perspective, because some of you I know love working out. And look, I get it, I understand. But if you've probably been constantly working out 5, 6, sometimes some people 7 times a week, whatever, for a long period of time, and you're finally being forced to take a deload. And that's going to make a big difference for a lot of you as far as how you feel whenever you get back, and also the amount of fatigue that has been lowered because you have been forced to rest. So this could be a really good thing. All that to be said is there's light at the end of the tunnel, and whenever we get there, whenever we are able to get back in the gym again, it is going to be a glorious, glorious day, and it's going to be all good. It's going to be all good. So yeah, just a quick recap. Don't jump straight back into your old training plan. Whenever you come back, I would stick to full body days, upper lower days, low volume, moderate intensity, and high frequency. After that is make progress on as little effort as possible. And then next and lastly is you will likely progress more quickly due to muscle memory, more stimulus, and you're also well rested. All right, guys. So let's all pray to the lifting gods that we can get back in the gym as soon as possible. But I hope those tips have helped you guys out today. As always, stay safe out there. And from my parents' basement, thank you, as always, for listening and for watching. See ya.